Welcome to 80s Music Exposed, the podcast in which we review all the best albums of the 80s, 1 month at a time. We will break them down, give you the skinny, and duke it out over whether or not you should dig these out again. So, if you're ready for an 80s music deep dive from Aha to Wham, Bowie to XTC, Madonna, hair metal, new wave, and all points in between, then crank the boombox, turn your Walkman up to 10, and let's go.
Welcome to 80s Music Exposed. I'm Henry.
And I'm Chris.
And I'm Megan.
And we are back. The Police show was popular as hell.
That's great.
Yes. People interested, they like slagging on Sting all freaking episode. Is that what they like?
I kind of forgot that was like a lot of the episode.
There was a lot of that. I feel like I didn't slag on him enough after listening to his single he just dropped today. Did either of you hear that?
Oh, shit.
I have not listened to it yet, and honestly, I don't think I'm going to.
If you really don't want to hate him, don't listen to that shit. Ooh, God, it's bad.
Is it a combo with somebody else?
No, it's his own, but man, he sounds like over the hill and it's like a happy song about eating breakfast. It's awful.
I think he just needs to go away.
Gracefully, maybe, if that's still possible.
Just go hang out like in a castle or whatever he does and just stop.
You, wherever you are in the world listening to us, we put a lot of effort and time into listening to records and trying to put on a good show, so thanks a lot.
Finally, before we get to significant events, I thought I would do the Billboard Top 100 Top 5 for the month of March 1983, which is what we're covering. Mm-hmm. Billie Jean has now moved into the picture, folks, and it dominated the number one spot all 4 weeks. It just sat there entirely. I'm figuring I'm going to see it in April and May and June too, but because I remember it just being huge. Number 2 was still "Shame on the Moon." Did you guys remember talking about that one last week?
The song we didn't know.
The Bob Seger song. Yep. So much bigger hit than I realized.
Hey, I wanted to tell you guys something. I forgot about this. I wanted to mention it. So there's a rumor that says that the reason Prince wrote Purple Rain was he saw Bob Seger's success in areas of the country on the radio that he wanted to be in. So he wrote a song that was a Bob Seger song that he said was a Bob Seger song. So I want you to think about Purple Rain and tell me if you sing it in Bob Seger's voice in your head. Tell me that doesn't sound right.
Do you have? Are you leading up to trying to do a Bob Seger impression? Is that what you're doing?
I'm not going to do it. I just want you to think about it.
I'm definitely trying to make it happen in my head. It's kind of weird because if I had to pick a Bob Seger song that Prince did, I don't think Purple Rain would be the first pick or my first guess.
No, me neither. I agree.
Because it just feels like a very soulful song. Not that Bob Seger isn't soulful or anything, but it just doesn't seem like his style. Like it's kind of slow. Like
I'm going to put that in the brain and mull it over for a while, Henry. I'll get back to you on that. Hey, anyway, the number three Billboard Top 100 song of March 1983 was "Do You Really Want to Hurt Me" by Culture Club. Number 4 was "Hungry Like the Wolf" by Duran Duran. And number 5 was a song called "You Are." Does anyone know who did that one?
No. Who did that? I don't know.
Henry. You are the sun. You are.
Oh, Lionel.
Come on, your guy, Lionel.
Yeah, I just forgot he did that. Yeah.
Okay.
Cool.
All right. Yeah, so that was the top 5 songs of March 1983, if you want to walk down memory lane. So let's do some significant events, and then we'll cover the albums. This first one is weird to me. That's the only reason I put it in there. I just saw it. It was weird. If you're not a sports fan, you may not even get this. Pittsburgh Steelers. It is weird, yeah. Pittsburgh Steelers quarterback Terry Bradshaw is admitted to the hospital for surgery to repair his throwing arm. He did it under an alias so the media wouldn't get to him, and his alias was Tom Brady.
That is, and Tom Brady he was probably 10 years old or something.
Not even, I don't think. He was probably, maybe he's like our age, yeah. Oh my God.
Tom Brady was created by the NFL.
That is weird. He is.
All a conspiracy.
It's like
the evidence. People wake up.
That just made me go.
DNA. mRNA. What?
TNN, the Nashville network, started in March of 1983.
What a noteworthy thing that is.
Dude, it's a pretty dry month. Okay, I was reaching. Monty Python's The Meaning of Life is released in the U.S. That's my favorite Monty Python movie. I used to think Holy Grail was, but if you watch them again, I think Meaning of Life's better.
That's not the one where the guy gets his arms cut off and moves
That's
to the
Holy
other
Grail. That's Holy Grail.
Okay.
Megan, are you a big Monty Python fan?
I don't really have much of an opinion on Monty Python. Like, I've seen Holy Grail. I think I've seen The Meaning of Life, and then there's Life of Brian too, right?
Yes.
Yeah. So like, I've seen it and I always enjoy it, but it's like not something that I'm like super into.
It's a brand of humor that's like passed by, man.
A little bit, yeah. I mean, I like some of it. Like, it is funny, but
for our generation, it was Megan. It was like you were used to seeing one. It's kind of like when rock and roll hit in the 60s or 50s. It's like you were used to one sort of television comedy, and then these guys were just like irreverent. They were it was kind of silly a lot of the time, but it was like, I can't believe they can do this on TV. I remember thinking like, are they allowed to do this on TV? So
it's British TV.
Yeah. We had to watch it on PBS late at night, like, when they'd show the British stuff. All right. There weren't a lot of significant events. I'm sorry. That was the best I could do. So, guys, are you ready to review some records?
Let's get it.
Yes.
All right. The first one is going to be by a band called ZZ Top. The album is called Eliminator. I've been waiting for this one. It was an all-music 4.5-star album. It's a Rolling Stone 3.5-star album. And for our fans out there, I heard you. There were 3 hits on this album: Legs, Sharp Dressed Man, and Give Me All Your Lovin'. And this is Sharp Dressed Man.
This album was everywhere. I feel like every dad had this CD in their collection.
They said it was certified diamond, like 10 million copies.
It's insane.
I've never heard of that, certified diamond.
I was about to say, Henry, what does that mean? Certified diamond? I
don't know. I'd heard platinum, because they said Def Leppard went platinum like 9 times over. It's diamond, I guess, after you do 10 million copies.
Right.
I think the Backstreet Boys and those bands did that too, which at that time, I prefer ZZ Top, but
yeah. I think it's perfect that we're covering it right now too, because I guess Dusty, is that his name, or is it Frank Beard that passed
that guy
away?
Died. Yeah, just like recently.
Yeah, and there was just a great documentary about ZZ Top out as well. Did you guys catch that?
What's it called?
It's called ZZ Top, that little old band from Texas.
Cute.
They had gotten 2 years off. They had a new deal with Warner Brothers. Punk rock music was changing with punk rock and all the experimental stuff, but these guys were Texas boogie, and they're like, what the fuck are we going to do? We sound old and dated. So the rumor is that he saw a Devo set that inspired him to do more, and Billy Gibbons went to a Depeche Mode concert and called it a mind bender. Said there was power and energy to this thing with no guitar and no drums, and he thought that they were heavy. So he went back and talked to them about that. So I just thought that was kind of interesting. Like, something about Billy Gibbons visiting artists that you wouldn't expect him to go to was kind of cool to me,
Yeah, me too. And I think, we've talked about this a lot in the past. Bands that were like 70s, were one particular style in the 70s trying to adopt sort of an 80s sound to mixed reviews, I guess, from us for different people. But I thought they pulled it off great. It still sounds like ZZ Top. It's still like they're not going way outside of what they do, like Pete Townsend or something like that, but they've added just enough, like a little bit of synth, a little bit of production, and man, they nailed it, because it's basically like what middle of the road popular rock music was at the time. To me, it was like still rock music, which was great. I never disliked 70s ZZ Top though. If you go back and listen now, I think it holds up pretty good. So I guess I didn't see them as like a failed thing that they had to change or anything. I just thought it was really smart. And I don't know about you guys, but I like Billy Gibbons, the older and older. Like, Billy Gibbons is like who I wish Keith Richards was now. He looks like the kind of guy you just want to hang out with. Like, he's so cool. He's so cool.
Like, I don't know. The good thing about this album too, like you mentioned that, they changed it a little bit, but they still maintained like kind of their authentic self. And I like that a lot, like very unpretentious seeming too. And the fact that I didn't know about the Depeche Mode and like that influence, you can kind of, now that you mention it, I can kind of like feel it a little bit in some of like the hit songs too, like the more popular songs, kind of like maybe the structuring of it. I don't know, but yeah, that's cool.
To me, it's something that's lost in music to a degree now, is all this mystery. The mystery with the MTV videos and all that, these two guys who were basically anonymous with long hair, long beards and sunglasses. You couldn't see their face anymore. And I tried to think of, is there anybody more analogous, at least as far as like mystery goes, to me? I for some reason I keep thinking about the BTS guys who are just completely androgynous sort of characters to me.
Certain degree,
Yeah,
but
Slash kind of had that.
What he looks like.
Yeah.
I mean, like idea of what his face looks like, but he does always wear like the hat and the glasses, so there is some kind of a little.
I always thought ZZ Top like hit at the right time too, because if you listen to this thing, it's the synthesizers and all the like 80s production is subtle. They're still doing ZZ Top. It's not like they went out live and like, oh my God, Billy Gibbons is just playing keyboard. But also right around that time, remember the Blues Brothers were kind of big. It's almost like they kind of copped a like two dudes looking a certain way marketing thing for an image, because these videos, I don't know, Megan, I know a lot of times you're able to pick up on that.
I know. The videos were huge.
That was like it for us as kids. It was like, oh my God, here comes that red car.
Look, I'm telling you, it sets them up as mythological characters, not a real band. I mean, if you, I don't mean that in a bad way. I mean that in a good way. Like they're not. Totally. They're just like, who are these guys? They're just like figments, The guy that directed. So you had the two big ones that I remember was like "Give Me All Your Lovin'," and they left it open for a sequel, and it was "Sharp Dressed Man" was the sequel. And the guy, Tim Newman, the guy that directed "Give Me All Your Lovin'," was Randy Newman's brother. Did you know that?
No.
Weird. That's random.
I know. But
what's his name?
Tim
Newman.
Yep. And that hand gesture that they were doing in the video?
Right.
They made that shit up because it was like 20-minute delays in between shots, and they were just like doing weird stuff like that. And I just think the record's kind of genius. The way they're positioned in culture is genius. Some of your fans and whatever will say that ZZ Top were like some sort of shapeshifter band, and I kind of reject that. I don't think so. I just think they kind of caught lightning in this one thing. Like right now, if you were to look at their records, and after this, you would go from Eliminator to, what's the next one, Chris? I can't remember.
Afterburner.
Afterburner. So Afterburner, the hits were still there, but they weren't as good. They weren't as poppy. Just wasn't quite as on the money as this one. And then they kind of went back to their old shtick, and now they're kind of like a Vegas sort of. And
I do want to defend a little bit. Like Eliminator and Afterburner were like an experiment to like be popular or whatever. But like if you're interested at all, or like open-minded to it at all, Tres Hombres, Fandango, and Deguelo. Deguelo's a much better record than Eliminator. It just doesn't have quite the pop sheen, but they're still pops. It's like Henry said, they're like Texas boogie blues, which is kind of cool. But in the documentary, Billy Gibbons did mention, like when they showed up for the first video, I guess it was Tim Newman, was like, they were all very nervous because they were like, we want to be obviously 20-something-year-old and 18-year-old kids are going to listen to this. What on earth is he going to have us do? A bunch of like 30-year-old bearded hippie dudes. And he was like, you guys just stand over there and be like, cool. We're going to put a bunch of young, hot people in this video. And they were all like, oh, yes, perfect. And it worked out great because then they just became like the narrators of these videos. Like these guys that just appear, which I think was so smart, as opposed to like, watching the dudes in Survivor prance around trying to act like they're, teenagers or something.
We're getting to Quiet Riot.
Yeah. We'll get there. Yeah, exactly. So everything they did, I think, was super tasteful and smart for what they were doing. So I really like this record too. As just a piece of like radio pop, it's pretty amazing because I think it kind of fits the same mold as like Def Leppard, Pyromania. It's like, that's heavy metal, but it's not. And this is blues, but it's not,
Ain't no other genre. When you techno blues pop, I mean, I don't know.
Right.
That's this record.
10 million units can't be wrong.
10 million.
You know what I mean?
10 million sold can't be wrong.
That's crazy.
Yeah, this is a thumbs up for me. Definitely one worth going back. And it's not just the 3 hits. I mean, the whole record is like a tight little, everything's good.
Mm-hmm.
All right, moving right along. Next record we're going to consider is from a band called Quiet Riot, and the record's called Metal Health. There were 2 hits off of this record. One was called Bang Your Head, and the other was called Come On, Feel the Noise. That's C-U-M.
Why do they
The last word is spelled N-O-I-Z-E. Hit it.
So, Henry, in my opinion, anything, if you're in a metal band in the 80s, any way you can work a Z into the name is going to make things cooler.
That's fine. The Z's fine.
You're not happy with the
That's how my mom, when my mom texts me, that's how she spells like I'm coming over.
No way. Wait. Hold. Full fucking stop right here.
He doesn't know.
Your mom spells I'm coming over C-U-M-M-I-N-G.
Yes. She doesn't know better.
Yeah, and you don't have the heart to correct her, I guess.
Why? Why would I? What?
No, just
it's better left to be.
Oh boy! Wow. Thanks, Quiet Riot.
Yeah, maybe she's a huge fan of this record.
So when I listened to it, I thought, okay, Come On, Feel the Noise. Like, good on them. Like, this song's kind of okay. The sun shines on a dog's ass some days. Like, maybe this will be all right. And then I realized, hey, guess what? They didn't write the damn song.
It's true.
It was from a band called Slade.
Yeah.
And it was like,
I think there's 2 Slade songs on this album, actually.
That's insane.
Really?
Yes, there's another one on there too, not one of the hits.
So you gave me Judas Priest and like I'm loving Screaming for Vengeance, and then you make me listen to this dog shit.
Oh, it's bad, yeah.
Nope. Not gonna have it.
And he looked so fucking weird. I know it doesn't matter, but like, ugh.
Kevin Dubrow.
Yeah.
Yeah. Which I saw him when I was 14 at the Las Vegas airport.
Nice.
Las Vegas with my family, and I knew who it was because like they always played the videos on like VH1, whatever, like Come On Feel the Noise was a huge, and he looked basically the same, but then a couple years later he died. This is a terrible story.
That is a terrible story.
I'm going to attempt to make a defense of this record.
Oh,
good luck.
Off.
So I guess I have a soft spot because I've told you guys before that I got to meet Eddie Van Halen playing golf before a concert in my little hometown because the arena was at the school. Well, Quiet Riot was opening up, and they were sound checking during my gym class, so I got to sit and watch them sound check. And then the guitar player, this Carlos Cavazo, came down and talked to all of us, and he was really nice. So maybe I have a soft spot for him. This is one of those stories though where I think the story of the band is more interesting than the album. So that's where I'll start my defense. This was Randy Rhoads' band, right? Randy Rhoads started this band, and by the time this album came out, he had been stolen away by Ozzy. And the thing I didn't know going into this was Quiet Riot was basically in a competition in LA with Van Halen to be the biggest band in LA up until Van Halen broke. So they were going back and forth, and Quiet Riot was this is the Randy Rhoads Quiet Riot, by the way, not the current version. So then when Randy Rhoads left, this Dubrow guy, who I think they just kind of picked out of somewhere, he wasn't even a musician, asked Randy Rhoads if he could keep the name, and hence he put this band together. But this Carlos Carvaza dude was like a really hot guitar player at the time. I don't know, Henry, probably you weren't into metal as a kid, but he was hot shit at the time. I do want to say on this album, he is hot shit. If you listen and think, okay, this guy's trying to be in competition with Eddie Van Halen, there's a ton of finger tapping and a lot of the same sort of licks. So there's that. That's not horrible. I can't make a defense of that Kevin Dubrow guy. And in fact, there's a story, I don't know if you guys saw this, that the bass player was arrested because he was on his way over from a bar to Kevin Dubrow's house to murder him with a knife. And one of his friends at the bar called the police, and the police intercepted him before he got into Dubrow's house. And they arrested him for attempted murder, and he admitted to it. He said, I was going to kill that motherfucker. So
what happened?
He just had enough of, apparently Kevin Dubrow's personality is just beyond asshole. So that's what actually broke them up after this record. But the last defense I'm going to make of this record, and I think metal people I hope our metal fans might come to the defense of this. This record is kind of recognized as the beginning of hair metal. This is like the album that started it. And
I can see that, but you would think,
but it gets kind of cred for that, not in a bad way. It gets kind of like, it's like revered for that, not because everybody loves the band, but this record itself.
If that's true, like, why wasn't the production any better than it was? It was just subpar, horrible production on this thing.
I can't make any excuses for that, but I can kind of hear that, and I do think it started us down the road of the Poisons and the Motley Crue's of the world.
It's like but it comes across now today, like 2021, as like this third tier party metal kind of band, right? I mean, listen to some of the lyrics, like, pile driver. Mama says that I never mind her. Got no brains. I'm insane. The teacher says I'm one big pain. I'm like a laser, 6-string razor. I'm like a mouth like an alligator.
I think, though, I'm going to make a defense of that. Yeah. Henry, I think a lot of that, though, it's trying to appeal to 14-year-old boy.
Right. It ain't for me now.
No, I mean, like when I was in junior high, I wanted to hear a guy sing the word cum, C-U-M. I thought that was cool as shit. Right? When I was 14, that somebody would say that out loud, or I could go around and go, my favorite song is Come On, Feel the Noise. Get it?
Yeah.
So, I mean it did what it was supposed to do. And I don't like it as a record. Okay. But I think I was shocked going back to learn that it had this much respect, because I don't know a lot about metal. And I feel like metal people are like, they give them a pass for this one.
But 50-year-old Henry says no. But 11-year-old Henry might have been like, oh, that's metal.
All hated Van Halen so much.
Right?
Because, I mean, Van Halen didn't just get big. They got, like, huge. Yeah. I mean, Quiet Riot was pretty big, but, like, Van Halen was meteoric compared to them.
Oh, yeah. But you know that from your own hometown. Like, there's those two bands that are like the two bands of the town, and then one of them makes it and the other one doesn't, and you're from that town, and you can always be like, yeah, I was a fan of the cool one, the ones that never made it, not the big
they
one.
didn't sell out.
Right, exactly.
I mean, I think Quiet Riot sold out.
They sold out hard as fuck. I'm going to give this a thumbs down, but with a little bit more respect than I thought I was.
Thumbs down and a tip of the hat, perhaps.
Nice, I like that.
Not me, down.
Oh, yeah, down.
To the ground.
Yeah.
Sorry, guys.
And I know that, so the next record, I knew that you were going to pick me to, like, intro it. Because everybody, like, because of the type of music that I like, I think they assume that I really like Tears for Fears, which that's the next artist that we're covering. The album is The Hurting. All Music 4.5 out of 5, Rolling Stone 4 stars, and then the one hit, I don't know if it actually charted or not, but we're gonna play it, is Mad World.
I just couldn't bring myself, Megan, to make you introduce "Come On, Feel the Noise."
You gotta leave that, man. If there's one guy that deserves to change his name to like Sting or The Edge or somebody like that, it'd be a guy named Roland Orzabal.
Orzabal.
I fucked up his name. Roland Orzabal.
Roland.
I mean, it's pretty bad.
That's a bad last name too.
And they're
Orzabal.
both so fucking goofy looking. Like, they're just so weird looking.
I've always called him Tear and Fear. Which one's Tear?
Which one? Yes, which one's Tear?
Which Fear?
Which one's Fear? Is Roland Tear?
Roland is Tear. The other guy is Fear.
It's Roland, by the way, Henry. If you're gonna butcher his name, just you know.
And the other guy's like Kurt or something.
The other guy. He's just called the other guy.
He's not a Roland Amp, Henry. His name is Roland Orzabal.
Roland. First band they had.
He's the Andrew Ridgely of
And the other one is named Kurt Smith. Okay?
Yeah, right. And they named their band the Crybabies because that's what they are.
Hey folks, I'm just going to interrupt for a second here. If you are a podcast junkie like I am, you've probably thought about starting your own podcast. Well, I can tell you firsthand that starting a podcast is one of the best decisions we've ever made, but it can feel a little overwhelming if you don't know how to get started. And that's why I was really glad to find Buzzsprout. Buzzsprout is hands down the easiest and best way I've ever found to launch a professional, or in our case, a semi-amateur professional podcast. These folks have helped over 100,000 people launch their own podcasts. They will get you onto every major podcasting platform like Apple Podcasts and Spotify, Google, Amazon. You can also get a great looking podcast website. There are audio players that you can drop into other websites. My favorite part is the detailed analytics that show how many of you are listening. We look at this all the time. That's how we know where you are and how many of you are there. There are also tools there to promote your episodes and so on. Buzzsprout publishes a new blog on all kinds of topics all the time, like equipment and formats, and they have their own podcast episodes. There's also YouTube videos every week so that you can learn the ins and outs of podcasting from the people that eat and drink and breathe it, so you never feel like you're on your own. So to start your own podcast and to get a $20 Amazon gift card, go and grab the link that I've got in the show notes. This lets Buzzsprout know that we sent you. It also helps support our show. So remember, Buzzsprout, the easiest way to start a podcast.
Wow, I did not expect this kind of hate for Tears for Fears.
No, I like them.
I love Tears for Fears. I really was shocked that I didn't know this record very well, because Songs from the Big Chair, or whatever it's called, Blue Chair, whatever that one is. That's their big one. I love that record.
I don't know the name of their biggest album.
Oh yeah, I was obsessed with that record as a kid. I loved it. So going back and listening to this one, I was pleasantly surprised how much I like it. Yes, they're a bit mopey. And yes, Roland Orzabal, I think after Songs from the Big Chair, whatever it's called, he gets a little self-indulgent, kicks Kurt Smith out, and starts doing these like Sting, Seven Summoner's Tales type bullshit albums. But
nobody's interested,
right,
Roland.
Right.
So they did a whole record based on Arthur Janoff's Primal Scream thing, right? Mm-hmm. So when I first wrote my notes for this, I was ready to kind of slag on this a lot, but I had the chance to listen to it another time in different environments, right? And kind of with some knowledge about, they were children. They were just like teenagers, 18, 19, 20 something years old, guys trying to grasp, you know, some of the things that had gone on to them when they were kids. They were council kids. They had children of single moms and stuff. So they had this book that they, you know, that they thought that helped describe some of the things that they were going on, or a therapeutic path forward. Like John Lennon embraced that, and some other stuff that he did, Primal Scream. So it has my respect for that. Now, it just sounds whiny sometimes. That's depending on your environment somehow.
It's the same things like the Smiths or Morris.
I agree.
But it's not the same. Like the Cure whiny to me is not the Tears for Fears whiny. You guys got to help me this. Why am I not getting it the same way?
Yeah, because I don't
pretentious seeming for it somehow. I don't know why, but like I feel the same way as you do about, because I like Tears for Fears. But like there's something like I have to be in a very specific mood to be like wanting to listen to Tears for Fears.
I feel like it's sort of too like the difference in, and Henry, you and I talked about this last week. Bono treads a fine line between earnest and shtick. And I think the problem with Roland Orzabal, especially on The Hurting, is so Morrissey is always tongue in cheek, right? Morrissey is downer, whatever, mopey, but he's always making jokes. Roland Orzabal means it. He's earnest as fuck, right? Like this shit is hurting, right? There's a child in the fetal position on the cover. We are hurting, right? And it's just like, dude. But I will say this. I do have to say this. I didn't realize this until researching. This record was fucking huge in the UK. Bigger than Songs from the Big Chair. Like they didn't. Wow. I'm looking at the stats here. In the US, The Hurting only made it to 73, right? And it was number one in the UK. Songs from the Big Chair only ever made it to number 2 in the UK, but it was number 1 here. So over there, because I looked back to listen and I was like, what is this fucking reissue? Why is there a big 25-year reissue? What the fuck? The Hurting wasn't that great. No, in the UK, this is the record. Like Mad World, every fucking person knows the song Mad World over there. It was like the anthem of that year. So for them, like Henry, for you to say they were kids and they did that.
Yeah, they were super young.
Yeah, that's pretty, it's impressive. But yeah, I think his earnestness and I'm looking at the record. This Seeds of Love album he does after he kicks Kurt Smith, man, the earnestness just goes to 10.5. It's just, dude, chill the fuck out.
I think you hit the nail on the head. That is what is annoying about him. Mm-hmm. Like, if somebody is going to be like earnest about those things, they have to have something else about them.
Yes,
balance it out a little bit.
Yeah, like Chris,
appearance or whatever.
Yes, like you mentioned, the cover of the record is a kid in the fetal position. Those same themes could be repeated in a more diffused through a more, how do you say this, an artistic sort of gauzy lens,
Think about like
it sinks in as a
and that's like a ploy.
It's too direct. It's too like pointing at it or something. It's too like, I guess that's what makes us uncomfortable.
Yeah, no? I think you hit it right on the head, and it's, I don't know,
Good.
It's just,
now I get it. But think about it. It came
so unattractive too.
Seeds of Love was like it's Roland Orzabal, the guy, the distinctive voice, the guy that sounds like he swallowed his own voice and put it in the base of his own throat, like there's some kind of ghost of Kermit the Frog in there or some shit. Like that, you listen to him. And then the other guy is just sowing the seeds. That's all it is.
I'm going to tell you, if you can take it, just put on Raul and the King of Spain for 2 songs, and you'll be like, this guy has gone into fucking earnest.
Really?
I love myself.
The best
overdrive.
Thing that I call this record goth adjacent.
Yes,
that's a good. I like that. Yeah,
right, because there's stuff in there that's like almost. There's a couple of songs that you could accuse of being a ripoff of Joy Division for 2 seconds. Just 2 seconds. But you can't really fully say that they're influenced by Joy Division because there's not a chance.
The album that you mentioned, Raul or whatever.
Raul and the King of Spain.
Is that a Roland Orzabal solo album?
No, it might as well be. That's the second album after he kicked out Kurt Smith, and it is by his own account, it's the autobiographical about my mom and my trauma as a child record.
Again? Again?
Does anybody?
Therapy or something.
I can't remember the name of it, but Sting did an album about his dad. That's like the most mopey thing. That and this are like neck and neck. I mean, you could put them on back to back and just kill yourself over and over and over.
Who's buying that shit? Like, who's into that shit? Is that like, who are these people?
I don't know. It's people that enjoy pain, I guess.
The hurting.
Supposedly,
The hurting.
the hurting. Look, I've been hanging out with y'all, and I'm ripping on it. It doesn't deserve to be ripped nearly this bad. He gave quite Riot a pass compared to this.
Yeah, and thank God we're not huge in the UK because people over there revere the fucking hurting. They think it's goddamn the Beatles' second coming.
This album is really good. I like this album. I really do. It's just there's something. There's
like a record, but them. I don't know.
Okay, I'm actually going to give the hurting a thumbs up. I don't know. Yeah, Henry, I feel like we raped them, but
slacked on them.
We're just having fun, everybody. Calm down.
We're going to get all this feedback.
We know you're very earnest and sincere.
How dare you talk about fear like that and tear?
Henry, why don't you take us stop. Why don't you take us to a record we're all going to love?
Oh, I would love to. The next record we're going to consider is from a band called New Edition.
Is it a band?
It's their first record. Yes.
Really?
Called Candy Girl. And let's listen to the title track. Candy Girl.
I did not know that the Chipmunks did a Jackson 5 record. I didn't know that happened. I missed it completely. I'm so glad that we're covering it. But what did New Edition sound like?
I don't know. This was really kind of a shock to the system that they did music like this, that they made music like that back then.
Yeah.
I'm sure you just remembered it. I went back. So my friend Charlotte Norris was really into this record, and I hadn't listened to it in probably 40 years, but that guy's voice, Ralph Tresvant, I think was his name.
What is?
It was like way up there.
I didn't remember it being this high. I was like, is this a joke? I literally was like, is this a joke? Like, did someone put on Apple Music a Chipmunks record doing Candy Girl? Because I don't remember their voices being this high at all. But then as I got further into the record, I don't know if you guys felt this way. I know the dude, they were put together by this Maurice Starr guy, and he wrote all the songs. It was basically like the Monkees or something. But the songs are kind of like this cool 80s like pop funk, like he's kind of nailing that little sound there. It's not as cool as Prince nailing it, but it's like there. But then
it's supposed to be kind of like a junior version of that.
Right. And I think I like that part of it, but I don't remember their voices. I guess it was distracting to me that their voices were so high. And weird because I hear these little boys now singing about, oh, my girl is something.
Wasn't that weird?
My girl is something.
Kind of weird.
Yeah,
right.
Like,
and there were a couple of kind of like sexy references where they used the word sexy, but they themselves are probably like 12.
They're like I think they're like 14.
Okay.
Right.
Maybe, like, but that's young still, to be like that. I don't think today that would probably, well, maybe it would, but I just feel like people are weird about stuff like that now. Like, there's a little bit back then.
Tresvant got the job of being the lead guy because he was the one that sounded the most like Michael Jackson. And so Maurice Starr's vision was for them to be like the Jackson 5. In fact, if you went to YouTube and looked at some of their early performances, you'd see Ralph Tresvant doing a moonwalk. I mean, like an obvious homage. I mean, and this is the month where, Billie Jean was #1 on the charts. So they're trying to capitalize on that.
Well, I will probably do this on the pod so that our listeners can hear it. And unfortunately, we're all three taping remotely today, and I can't get the music to all three of us. But Henry, I went back and played right after playing the song "Candy Girl" ABC by the Jackson 5 to kind of, because I'd read that too, like they were trying to. Man, the difference is night and day in how good the song is comparatively. There really is no comparison. Like that Jackson 5 song doesn't sound like a novelty. It just sounds great, you know, and it's like, to me, that did it for me. It was like, man, this is like a pale comparison. This is like comparing New Kids on the Block to, I don't know, like the Beatles or something. It's like, no, this is not that.
And I mean, they were very early on when you think about it, because I don't think of the Jackson 5, even though they were all boys, I don't really think of them as a boy band, because they were just, I mean, they were that good. Like, I agree with you. Like, they were just kind of like transcendent above that. Like, they were above that tier, I guess. But New Edition, I mean, this is 83. So, I mean, they got to be one of the first, like, really successful boy bands, I would say. Because that's what I consider this type of music.
Oh, definitely. And I would put forth that New Kids on the Block were specifically put together to be a white version of New Edition. In fact, like down to the roles, like Donnie Wahlberg was supposed to be the Bobby Brown, the bad boy rapper, and it was just like, here's the white version of New Edition. I remember kids in my school saying that, like black kids saying, "Why do you like that? That's just like white people doing New Edition."
That's the specific thing that Maury Starr made. Maury Starr made No Kids on the Block. You know, those guys can't.
He was involved too.
Yeah, he did.
Oh my God.
What happened was, look, New Edition
he was like the NSYNC Backstreet Boys guy. Basically.
New Edition got chewed up and spat out by Maury Starr, basically. So they went on tour, came back home, went back to the project, still poor, with like no money in their pocket, and got away from Maury Starr, who said, it would have been a bigger band if these guys been white. Moved right along, moved next to NKOTB, and so that left New Edition, who did another album, another follow-up, which had some bigger hits on it. I can't remember the names of them right now, but that was more popular. And so after that, of course, things kind of started falling apart. Bobby Brown, did Don't Be Cruel, in the late 80s, which was like fucking enormous. Yeah. That record was amazingly good. It was done by Jimmy Jam and Terry Lewis, I think is the name of the guys.
Yeah, yeah. And who are classmates, by the way, of Prince. Like, they all came out of that same Minneapolis scene. I didn't realize going back, though, Henry, like he literally pulled, all the New Edition guys are from Boston. Yeah. All the New Kids on the Block guys are from Boston. Like, Maury Starr just went back and pulled 5 white kids out of the South Boston. Yeah,
so it makes me a little sad, really, to kind of listen to it, because even though it's kind of nostalgic, and I think about my friend from back in the day, I always think about how these guys got chewed up.
I do feel like there's a nostalgic aspect to this record, so I can't just say don't go back and listen to it. But for me, it was just shocking that it was like, I knew what it was going to be, like a boy band thing, but I just was shocked at the high pitch, how high pitched it was. And I kept thinking of this other band, Megan. I was wondering if I was going to ask if you remember this, because they had a video that was popular, but that was it. There was a band called Musical Youth. And
wow, I ain't heard of that in a while, man.
Yeah, they had this huge video and then disappeared, and they were doing like the kid version of reggae.
Oh my God.
And the cool thing about the video was the little boy that was the lead singer had this little tiny guitar, and it was actually a guitar. And I was obsessed with it in 4th grade, because I was like, oh my God, they make little guitars for little human beings. And it was so cool. But
is that like the Pass the Dutchie?
Pass the Dutchie,
yes.
That's it. Yep.
Yes, that's it.
That was their one song.
Left-hand side.
Nice. So there you have it. Musical Youth. Check that out. Instead of the New Edition album, just go check out the Musical Youth album. It might be better. I'm really going out on a limb that it might not be better. But I like Pass the Dutchie.
Thumbs down for
record, me. I would have to say thumbs down. Like, I would rather just listen to a Bobby Brown
I'd
record.
rather listen to a Belle Biv DeVoe record, too. Yeah, you're right.
Or definitely.
Belle Biv DeVoe, now you know.
Now you know. All right. So our last album is by a band called Spandau Ballet. I hate saying that. The album is called True. It's an all music 3.5-star album. I guess we put it under shit we like. It had one hit. If you've not heard this hit and you're a fan of 80s music, there's something wrong with you. It's called True, and I guess I'm going to play True. So, guys, I figured out I never listened to this record, okay? And they were untouchable to me. There was something wrong with them to me. It became that song because it was like ubiquitous.
I mean,
but here's what
I
figured out for me what the problem was. No fucking rock band should be called anything to do with ballet. Period.
See, they were trying to be rock,
do you know what the Spandau Ballet is?
I don't. I'm sure it's something cool, and I love the name Cocteau Twins.
Not.
Oh, it's not? Okay, so I love all those kind of weird names, but ballet just doesn't do it for me in a rock band. Or a I don't know, a new wave band even.
Can I tell you what it means?
Please.
All right. So, the term Spandau Ballet, it's like something from World War I think, but it was like the way to describe the twitching of like people or soldiers being caught like in barbed wire after being like,
oh my God,
chased. Yeah.
That's the coolest thing I've ever heard. Now I fucking love it. That's great.
It's kind of like a Joy Division. That's what it reminded me of, that they were probably going for a little bit. So
nobody, but Megan, nobody knew that. We didn't know that.
Nobody does know that except for me.
But that's bad marketing because I hated them because of that name.
Guys in fucking suits and little skinny ties.
They did the romantics thing.
Talking about ballet. And the guy, Tony Headley, the singer, who, okay, now I know that he was influenced by American crooners. 11-year-old Henry didn't understand any of that stuff. But he also held his mic with his fingertips in this kind of weird way. It was like kind of creepy to me. So I'm like, that's not rock. You're supposed to grab that shit with your hand.
I can't believe both of us have mentioned rock with Spandau Ballet twice. Like, apparently we wanted them to rock harder, didn't we, Henry?
I just wanted, I mean, think about the song. It wasn't in line with anything that we thought about, like, the song, like, okay, so they had a whole history before they even did this record.
A really cool history, I think.
Yeah, like they were like new romantics. I think they were considered themselves peers of Duran Duran. They wore those like jack boots and joppers and shit. I think they went a little too far actually with it, but it was all about that performance stuff. But they had that whole soul boy idea at the beginning that was their roots. So it's like soul boy stuff, and then they went techno with the new romantics and all of that. Yeah, a little more punk. Then things were starting to get crowded in the synth movement, and so they decided to go back to their soul boy roots, and that's where they had their hit. I need you to explain to me why they didn't do, like, why did Duran Duran successfully transition from the new romantics and all of that, and Spandau Ballet just simply did not?
Duran Duran was better looking and like more commercial, I think, in the way it was popular at that time. Yeah.
So I'm going to make a 180 here because I hate the song True. I didn't listen to this album ever because of the name Spandau Ballet, and thank you, Megan, for correcting me. I should have loved that name. This show made me listen to the whole record. Mm-hmm. I think this record is really good. And here's the thing about it. Don't play True. It's the last song on the LP. Just fucking don't play it. Everything else is good. And here's where I think the reason is, Henry, between Duran Duran and them.
What?
They sound like they're fucking perfect. It doesn't sound real. It's like Roxy music with a sheen on top of it. It's fucking Duran Duran sound like real human beings in a band at that time doing like the Smiths sound like a band of dudes, right? There's like, you can hear the whatever. This sounds like fucking people from another planet who are, it's perfect. You can eat off this shit. You could lick it and it doesn't get dirty. It's too perfect almost. It's almost like,
that's my problem, man.
I know, but the songs are great. I was sitting there going, this is exactly what I want my Roxy music to be like, except Why? They don't sound like humans. I'm not even sure it was humans. It's like
That's
a computer.
why Roxy Music is a little bit better. Well, a lot better.
A lot
but,
better,
like,
yeah.
Roxy Music had a little bit of an edge to it, and I just don't feel like these Spandau Ballet in some ways kind of reminds me of OMD, maybe because they both have insufferable names for their bands. But I feel like they're different enough. Like OMD is obviously poppier, but like and more successful, I would say.
I think too, OMD sound like a band of human beings. These guys were almost like, it's almost like when like like classical music people go, oh, they turn their face towards rock music and go, oh, I can do that. Here, let me show you how easy rock music is. And then they make this just like perfect thing that doesn't sound like it has any heart or soul.
And
like
it's not as much fun.
Yeah, not as much fun. Like these songs sound like, oh, we can do the new romantic thing better than anybody else. Like we write better versions of this. There's just no soul to it. There's no soul.
Such a brief amount of time to like new romantic. I feel like that like it switched to like new wave and like different types of alternative. But like I don't feel like new romantics survived that long.
Oh no! But think how cocky these guys were because they were underground, like big time underground dance music dudes before this album. Like they were just ruling the underground scene, and then they were just like, oh yeah, we could do that. Like we can make, and like Henry said, we're going to go ahead. We want to go to America, so we're going to make a hit because we can do that.
And they did. I mean, they succeeded.
Well, so they had two. They had this one, and later on they did some other song called Gold, which I think is on another album.
I'm not going to pretend to know what that is.
No.
Bob Geldof, the first band he asked to do Live Aid was Spandau Ballet.
Yeah, I'm not getting it. Like, I don't understand what the Brits saw in these dudes. I don't.
I feel like they might be performing at like 80s music cruises too now.
Probably are.
Well, so. Tony Headley left the band recently. They had a reunion.
I remember that. And
there was a big lawsuit. There's a documentary online. It's called Soul Boys of the Western World that like does their whole career from beginning until I guess till 2015, and then he rejoined the band and then left again to do something else. To me, this record sounded like what Chicago did to themselves, which is try to do adventurous rock music or whatever, and then completely do the soft rock band stuff.
So like, and I think you're right. But like this Gary Kemp, who's the guitar player and wrote all the songs, he just like was one of those dudes that felt like he could do anything.
Well, he could. The guy could write.
But my favorite part is his brother, Martin Kemp, is the bass player. He didn't join until the album before this. He was just the guy carrying equipment around for him. But they said he's so fucking good looking, he has to be in the band.
See, that says something about their careerist aspirations anyway. They kicked out the other bass player so they could have his brother. Could the guy be any more? He's got a dimpled chin.
They said they were sick and tired of all the girls hanging out backstage for the guy that's carrying the stuff around instead of the band. So they said, you're going to have to be in the band.
So it sounds like, Chris, you're a thumbs up. I'm a thumbs down on this one. I wouldn't have.
No, I want to tell the listeners, this is one of those records like that. The reason I do this show, I rediscovered a record that I didn't know I had missed. I except for the song True, I thoroughly enjoyed the record. Now I agree it's not perfect, but it sounds like it wants to be perfect. And I just think it's a lot better than I gave them credit for.
Hey, that's just part of the project. Like I'm a Lionel Richie fan. You're Spandau Ballet now.
God, I hate
Megan,
that name.
What do you think?
Thumbs up. I'll give it a thumbs up just because I do agree with that. Like if you're going in with the expectation of it being just true, you're going to be surprised a little bit. You know what I mean? So, and the genuine surprise of that is kind of nice. It is a little pretentious.
So what? All right. So which is the one? Which is your record? I think I know what I'm picking.
Lay it on us, Henry. Go ahead.
Eliminator, ZZ Top. That's the one.
I'm going to pick that one too.
Interesting. I was shocked by this month, like how much I liked records this month. I thought I wasn't going to, but I'm going with Spandau Ballet as my pick of the month.
That will go down in history. That's amazing.
I almost put it in the canon. I'm still considering putting it in the canon because I don't think you can get by the 80s without True.
Henry, I'm feeling some very judgmental vibes from you towards Chris on this.
Towards this pick.
Yeah, you're like,
So
oh
true.
my god, this is
Funny
historic.
how it seems.
Somebody picked this. Wow.
No, man. I this song used to make me really uncomfortable.
Did you have a bad experience or something?
I don't know. I must have some hidden primal
Some
scream-worthy
repressed
shit in my past about Spandau Ballet. Something bad must have happened to me during that song. you look at Tony Headley touching that microphone. Tell me that to give you a creep. Like the fingertip stuff. So true.
All right. Well, I think that about does it for March of 1983. Let's wrap this puppy up.
Thanks to our Patreon subscribers, all of you. If you like the records we're choosing, please consider subscribing to the pod, and you'll have our newest content downloaded to your device. Your device? Download it to your device. Review us on Pandora, Apple Podcasts, and other platforms like Stitcher and Spotify. We are the #1 80s podcast on Pandora, the app of choice. You can chat us up, ask us questions, even on Twitter at 80s Exposed, or email us at 80smusicexposed@gmail.com. You can hit us up on social media. You can even leave us a voicemail on SpeakPipe. There's a link in the show notes. Just click on it. Chris, what's your Twitter handle?
It is at TCI Duke.
My Twitter handle is at Hank G. Hit me up there. Megan, what's your Instagram?
I don't have Twitter, but I have Instagram, and it's Bastards of Young 92.
Any Replacements fan would instantly recognize that. I want to thank everyone for listening to our show. And until next time, Chris, Megan, guess what?
What's that?
I made you a mixtape.